everybody, it's Diana with Move North Homestead. We're back in the kitchen, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can make use of an entire watermelon. Butch and I enjoy watermelon. This was probably here. But there's no way that the two of us can eat an entire watermelon. So I have cut the meat of the watermelon, of some of the watermelon, out, and I am dehydrating it to make watermelon candy. What you're left with after you cut the meat out of the watermelon to eat or to dehydrate is the watermelon rind. And as a girl, my grandmother made the best, it was one of our favorites, watermelon rind pickles. So I'm going to recreate that. I have her original recipe, and follow along and we will see if I can recreate it using just her recipe. As a child, I didn't pay any attention. We just wanted the watermelon pickles when we went to visit. What I'm doing is you have your watermelon rind, flip it upside down on your cutting pad, and you're gonna peel off the tough outer layer. And you can save this, you can feed it to your animals, or you can put it in your compost, or you can just throw it away. My grandmother lived during the Great Depression, and they learned to use every piece of everything that they had. They tried to use every piece. So then you are left with the white part that nobody eats, or hardly anybody eats. So you're just going to chunk it up. And yes, I have a humongous knife out, but I was using it to cut through that watermelon. And I don't want to dirty up another one. So we have our cubed up future pickles. And I already have a bunch done. And I'm just going to continue on. So sweet. Rind cut up. We have the watermelon in the dehydrator, and we have some extra here on the counter waiting to go into the dehydrator. So I will get this all packaged up. Due to advances in technology, there are several steps on her instructions that don't need to be done anymore, because we now have a product called Pickle Crisp granules. And so we're going to put Pickle Crisp granules in each jar, but we're going to do that tomorrow. Today we're going to make a brine solution and soak the watermelon rind in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow we have a couple more steps and then we can can them. I'll go over all the ingredients for the brine and the quantities that are going to go in there in just a minute. But one of the ingredients is ginger. For those who don't know, recipes sometimes call for you to peel your ginger. An easy way to peel your ginger is with a spoon. You just take the spoon and rub the peel off. Here's your ginger, and the waste is minimal. For this recipe, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of whole allspice, 1 tablespoon of whole cloves, 2 or more pieces of long cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of ground mace, and the 2 pieces of ginger root. In our stock pot, we are going to bring 4 cups of apple cider vinegar, and 6 cups of water to a boil. We are going to put our spices into a bag that we're going to cinch up and put into our vinegar water solution. So first we're going to put in our ginger root, then 2 tablespoons of whole allspice, 1 tablespoon of whole cloves, 2 or more pieces of cinnamon. And these are pretty big sticks, so I'm just using 2. And 1 tablespoon of mace. Brine mixture is boiling, so we're going to add our bag of spices. Once you have a good boil going, you're going to add 8 cups of sugar, Give it a good stir. You're going to add in 3 or 4 sliced lemons. And the recipe for this will be in the description box below. And 2 teaspoons of salt. We're going to let this come to a boil again, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back to a boil, so we're going to turn off the heat, and then we're going to pour this over the watermelon rinds. Okay, I'm going to let this sit overnight. It's going to cool down, then it'll go in the fridge. And then we will be back tomorrow and can. Okay, we are on day 2, and we have pulled the watermelon rind that was soaking overnight in the refrigerator out. We are going to heat it on the stove just to boiling. I've got my water boiling in my canner, and I've got my jars sterilized on the sterilization setting in the dishwasher. We will be using Pickle Crisp. This replaces the need for all the lime. We're going to put 3/4 of a teaspoon in each pint jar. Let's get started. So we're going to pour this mixture into the pan. Very carefully. And we're pouring in everything to include the bag with the spices and the lemons. We will remove those in the next step. So now we're going to get that to boiling. If you are one of the many households that has a problem with hard water, you can add to your water bath canner, you can add a dash of vinegar, a 1/2 cup, and it will keep your jars sparkling clear. Okay, the mixture has come to a boil. We are going to remove the watermelon rind pickles. From that, we're going to remove the spice bag and the lemons. Now we're going to heat the brine back up to boiling, and we're gonna start filling our jars. Now I'm gonna put the lid on these and set them aside until the brine is ready to fill. One half of a large watermelon gave us 3 pints of watermelon rind pickles. So we don't want our jars clanking around in the water bath canner. So I'm going to put the extra jars into the water bath canner to eliminate movement. What you need to do is pick up the jar. I have no lid on it, so we can reuse it later. You're going to fill the jar with the water, the boiling water. Now these are already hot and sterilized from my dishwasher. So I don't have to worry about the glass cracking when I put them in the hot boiling water. You just want to carefully put them in there so that each one fills up with water. While we're waiting for the brine to come back up to a boil, we're going to put 3/4 of a teaspoon of pickle crisp into each jar. While we're waiting for the brine to come back up to a boil, we're going to put 1 stick of cinnamon and 3/4 of a teaspoon of pickle crisp into each jar. The brine is boiling. We're going to remove the spice bag. Give it one last swirl around in there. And we are going to remove the lemons. Going to remove the top, set it aside. Replace our funnel. And we are going to pour in the brine, 1/2 inch from the top. I need an empty jar to put my funnel in. Okay, we're going to use our measurer. Measure 1/2 inch. Nope, need more. Now we're going to re-clean our jar rim. Yowza, that hurt. Be careful. The brine is very hot. And the pickles are too. But we're going to put our lid back on. And we are going to put our ring on. And we're going to put it into the boiling water. I'm going to do the other 2 jars and I'll be right back. Okay, all 3 jars are in the canner. Burner is off for the brine. There is leftover brine, so it will just get discarded. The jars are in the canner. We're going to put on the lid. The steam is already coming out because it was boiling hot brine and heated pickles. So everything is already hot. We're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. Check for your altitude if you decide to try this recipe. Check your altitude as to how long you're supposed to water bath can. Okay, the timer is set for 15 minutes, at which time we take our lid, we turn off our heat, take our lid off of our canner, and we let it sit for 5 minutes. We'll be back at that time. The 5 minutes is up. We're going to take the watermelon rind pickles. Out of the canner. Now we leave them alone. We let them sit undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours. Make sure they pop, which means that they are sealed and your canning is done. And the watermelon candy is done. It makes like a fruit leather. So good, so addicting. Your kids will love it. And as always, I'll leave you with a little piece of chocolate. Hey, baby.